Sorry, we didn't hear that last part. It cut out.
Our winter is over here in Austin. It's such as we had or didn't have.
It seems that way here in Joensuu as well. It's so slushy, and usually winter lasts much longer in Finland, but it's been a really unusual, very mild winter. I wish you could see it outside. It's just gray, and if it's not slush, then it's ice, so you have to be very careful where you're walking.
Well, I think all the winter weather is divided between here and Omsk. And I have temperatures in centigrade, Celsius. In Des Moines, it's -14 Celsius, which is exactly what it is in Omsk. Austin is a balmy 19 degrees. And there are places that are colder. Minneapolis, which is 2 miles north, is -22.
Oh dear.
Whereas Arlington is 8 degrees. And
the lightly falling mist.
Yes. I am showing Joensuu has 3 degrees Celsius.
Yep.
So, good morning and good evening, everyone. I came in on a familiar conversation because, as someone has no doubt already told you, we talk about the weather a lot. And I have my small experience with Russians is that you tend to talk less about the weather than we do. And maybe because a lot of the time the weather is something you just rather not talk about. I'm beginning to appreciate this because we have had a much colder winter than usual. And this morning we have 2 inches of fresh snow. It's very nice. And we feed birds. We have a bird feeder at our house. And last night, when I was ready to go to bed, the new snow, had really lighted up my backyard, my little garden. And that's where our bird feeder is. And underneath the bird feeder, there was a creature that I had to do a double take. We have cats, but cats don't eat grain generally, not willingly anyway. And what we had under our bird feeder, eating some of the foods we leave out for the squirrels, was a rabbit.
Rabbits?
Yes. We have a lot of wild rabbits living in our neighborhood.
Oh.
And one of them was having a feast last night, burrowing down into the snow to find the grain that we had there. Sunflower seeds and corn. This is a corn-producing state, so we have a lot of corn here.
I want to ask the Russian students a question. I remember knowing about rabbits. I remember knowing that a person who rides public transportation, the bus or a tram, who doesn't have a ticket is called a Zayas. Is that still the case?
It is.
I didn't know that. Huh.
It is. Let me think. Бывают зайцы белые, бывают зайцы серые. А ты какого цвета заяц без билета? Is that good?
Yeah.
Do they still say that? Do Russian kids still say that?
No, I didn't know this.
No?
No.
No.
Professor Marston, it's a little poem about making a joke about what color is the rabbit who doesn't have a bus ticket?
Oh.
Excellent.
That's cute. I suppose we could, maybe they're called that because they hop on quickly.
Well, that works in English. I'm not. I guess so. I guess that would work in Russian. Okay. Well.
So, Carly, do you want to start us off this morning? You brought 2 gems to warm us up, and neither of which I had heard about. So, would you like to do warm up this morning?
Sure. Who got the silver? Who got the bronze? Anybody?
The Canadian team won this game, but I don't know who got the goal.
Okay, yeah. So Canada won. They got the gold, and then who got the silver and who got the bronze? There are a lot of people here, so I don't really know who to call on. So if you know, please say.
I'm guessing, Carly, because you're in Finland, that may be a clue.
Well, I believe, okay, here's how if nobody else knows, or do any of our professors know?
But the U.S. did not win a medal.
Yeah, so I think it goes, what is it? It's Canada got the gold. What was it, Sweden? Sweden got silver.
Got silver, and Finland got bronze. Yes.
Finland got bronze. And then it would be the United States. So as you can imagine, the match between the United States and Canada, a lot of people were watching that. And do you see this article here? I've shared a piece from Time magazine, their website. Do you see the title, Loser Keeps Bieber? Do you see it? You see it. Loser keeps Bieber. Billboard raises stakes in Canada-USA Olympic hockey game. So who is Bieber?
Justin Bieber?
Of course, yes. And where is Justin Bieber from?
He's from Canada.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. And there's a lot of...
but he lives in USA, yes?
Yes, there's a lot of controversy about...
problems here.
Yes. Drug use, inappropriate behavior, disrespectful behavior. So a lot of Americans are very sick of Justin Bieber, unless you are a 14-year-old teenage girl. Then perhaps you're not so sick of Bieber. But so there was a billboard, and here it shows the picture of the billboard here. Loser keeps Bieber.
So Bieber stay in that country. Which team lose this game? Yes.
Yes, and we lost. The United States lost, so we have to keep him. Absolutely, yes. But then you can see here under that under the picture, it says nothing is higher than the stakes of tomorrow's game. It means you have a lot to lose. It means the results are very important because the consequences are very important. So it says nothing is higher than the stakes of tomorrow's game. It means, the United States must win. And there are a lot of really funny comments down here as well. Do you see the comments?
Nothing is higher than
What happens? Sometimes they appear and sometimes they disappear.
I'm not seeing them.
I just saw them a second ago, and then now they're gone. Anyway, it's just you can see them, Pete.
Yeah. Here, I'll paste one into the chat.
Okay. Just some funny commentary back and forth there between Americans and.
Oh, it's not letting me paste the text.
Oh, I see something.
One
of them says, One of them says, yes, you Americans can keep Biebs. We Canadians don't want him. Yes, 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 no more Biebs. Yay, happy days. So I thought this was pretty good. I like this billboard.
What do our Russians think of Justin Bieber?
I'm
Who
wondering.
can give me some words to describe him?
You laughed, Vladislav. That means you have an opinion.
I don't know who is he.
Oh, you're lucky. You don't know who he is.
Ah, yes. Not being a 14-year-old American girl.
Maybe some of our ladies know.
I think I'm just too old to be a fan of Justin Bieber, but I know him as a public person.
Yes,
Can give us some words to describe his behavior.
I don't know. I heard that Americans have such problem and they discuss it, but I don't know the details of this discussion. I heard that he got problem with drugs, but I don't know exactly what it was.
Yeah, he's been arrested for possession of marijuana, I think, on a couple of occasions, and driving recklessly, things of that nature. Daria, what do you think of? Do you know Justin Bieber, and what do you think of him?
I know Justin Bieber. I've heard a couple of songs, but I don't like them.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a style of music I like.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know much about his behavior. I'm not interested in celebrity life. So I have nothing to say.
Nadia, I want to ask you a question. He's a Canadian, right?
Yes.
Yes. So why is he living in the United States, do you think? And anyone? Why? He's a Canadian. Perfectly fine country, awfully good hockey team, among others. But so why is he living in the United States? Anyone? Andre, do you know? Can you think of a reason?
Sorry, I don't know what you're talking about. I missed this.
Andre
Okay,
just joined us. He had to log back in.
Okay. Lisa, Kate, do you have a thought about Nastya? Why is he living here?
Maybe he likes.
Huh?
It's just
I don't know. Maybe he wants to be closer to centers of showbiz and to, his target audience. Maybe it's all in USA, not Canada.
I think you're probably right. I think, Soleil, that's probably right. That he's an entertainer, and there are more opportunities for entertainers in the United States than there are in Canada, especially entertainment of his
not a singer, yes?
caliber. Yeah, I think he's a singer. I have no idea.
Yeah.
That's a debatable issue.
Yeah, he became famous from that. What was that song? That baby, baby, baby. Oh, that one. And that's what he was like a little child. And I think if you are also fans of R&B music, he was sort of taken under Usher's wing, sort of Usher being his mentor.
Mm-hmm.
And he's also known for his dancing, things like this, but also as he's gotten older, he's become known for his, like we said, his bad behavior, his disrespectful behavior, drug use, those sorts of things. And Professor Marston wrote in the chat that Justin Bieber has a green card. So oftentimes people forget because the culture of the United States and Canada can be so similar in very many ways that they are two separate countries, and that even if you are from Canada, you will need to have a green card to be in the United States. And that's why Russia's billboard was there, loser keeps Bieber, because a lot of people are saying, revoke his green card. We don't want him here anymore. He breaks the law, kick him out.
Write this down in your little notebook, ladies and gentlemen. A billboard like this is called a backhanded compliment. Backhanded compliment. Can someone give me another example of a backhanded compliment? Let's see. You could say something like, for a Republican, Mitt Romney is I need help thinking of another backhanded compliment.
I wrote one in the chat, one you could say about Justin Bieber. For example, Saule or no, Daria, you mentioned you know him, but you don't like him. So a backhanded compliment could be, yeah, he's a good musician, I guess, if you like that kind of music.
If you like that kind of music. Good.
Yeah.
Okay, so I thought of a Republican one.
Okay.
This is a backhanded compliment. Chris Christie, who's the governor of New Jersey, Chris Christie doesn't lie too much for a Republican.
That's it. Doesn't lie too much for a Republican.
You're a pretty stand-up guy for a lawyer.
Oh, they do not know what a stand-up guy is.
Yeah, that's a good one to put. You're a pretty good guy for a lawyer. Honest. The other piece that I had, and we don't have to spend a lot of time on this either, I'm waiting for it to load here, was about the closing ceremony. Anybody tell me a little bit about Russia's closing ceremony and what it did to poke fun at itself? It's sort of to playfully make fun of, to playfully laugh at itself. It's usually considered a good quality when a person can laugh at him or herself. If you can poke fun at yourself, if you can laugh at yourself, then you're in a good condition. So what did Russia do to poke fun at itself during the Olympic Games, the Olympic closing ceremony? Yes?
Are you talking about fifth ring?
Yes, I am.
It didn't open. Yes,
yeah.
They made a fake from people that fifth ring didn't open like in opening ceremony, and they they make laugh by them. Laugh at yourself. Laugh at yourself.
Yeah,
fun of themselves. Yeah.
I like the title here. Russia pokes fun at itself by recreating Olympic rings malfunction. Can anybody else tell us anything?
When I read this, I thought it was from The Onion at first.
Anybody else have anything to say about the opening ceremony or the closing ceremony?
Honestly, I didn't like it, but about opening ceremony because it's too serious. I don't like. It's too tight, too serious. We don't have much sense of humor in opening ceremony. It's very how it will be in English. Too serious. I don't know how to say it in English.
I'm trying to think of what that would be.
Okay, so this is for my education. How would you say it in Russian? And we can think of you all can think about it together, how that might be communicated in English.
I said, Что-то такое, да. Кондо is costly, not heavy, not light. Maybe.
Yeah.
Ponderous is usually a word that might be used.
What I liked about this particular article, and also in the comments that were posted to this article, is that it shows how we Westerners, or at least how a lot of us value humor, value the ability to not always take ourselves so seriously. Right, and this was Russia's statement to the rest of the world. What do you think Russia was saying by recreating this malfunction? What was the message? Let's hear from somebody that we haven't heard from. Perhaps Vladimir or Vladislav.
Maybe they wanted to say that everyone can make mistakes.
And it's often better to laugh at ourselves than be laughed at by other people, right? So it's...
Vladislav, would you say that the original mistake was a serious mistake? Was this a?
I can't say this, and I don't watch an opening ceremony and closing ceremony of Olympic.
Okay. Somebody who watched it, would you say that this was a big mistake or a trivial mistake?
I don't think so, because all people can make a mistake.
Sure.
And,
yeah.
And it's only technical mistake, and it's not a big problem, I think.
No. Not a big problem. Its bigness, if you would, comes from the fact that the whole world was watching as we made this mistake. Sometimes you make a mistake and not many people see it or know about it. But when the whole world is watching, we might say one way that in English you could express what happened is that you have egg on your face. Egg on your face. Yeah.
I'm also copying and pasting some of the comments to this piece in the chat too that I really liked. Anyway, that's about it. Yeah, have a look at those comments if you want. Sorry?
Well, while we're on the Olympic theme, why don't we go around the room and ask everybody to give us one thought or summation about the Olympics, right? So, Vlad, what you said you didn't watch the opening or closing ceremonies, but do you have one thought about the Olympics? Were they successful, unsuccessful? What might you say about them in summary?
I think it's successful because my parents watched this ceremony and said that it was great, and I believe them. Yes.
Okay. Very nice.
And if I didn't watch it, I read in the internet article about Olympic Games, and I have important information to make my opinion.
Very nice. Good. Let's go around and ask for some other views. Vladimir, good evening.
I think that Olympics were successful because, well, nothing really bad happened, and I'm glad that Russia has a lot of medals. I believe we were in the first place. Well, everybody watched it and everybody liked it, and
Yeah, very nice. Well,
and but Russian governments spent a lot of money for this Olympic game, and but instead of it, Russian government could 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 make a new road, for example, or something more important for people, not only for entertainment.
ah, very nice. So a lot of money was spent, but could have been spent elsewhere. Yeah. Soleil, do you want to? What is your overall? Soleil,
Sorry.
why don't we let Soleil go ahead here? What's your overall impression, Soleil? How would you wrap up the
Sorry.
Olympics?
I had a good what?
Can I say? I would like to say something about Olympic Games. I think it's strange what were Winter Olympic Games in it's strange for me that the Winter Olympic Games was in Sochi, because Sochi is a warmest city in Russia, and at wherever was warm to Winter Olympic Games. For example, in Siberia, Omsk.
But do you think that biathlon is it's good to organize competition in when we have a temperature about minus 30, minus even 20? Do you think it's correct?
I'm not sure the American journalist Soleil would have liked that. Maybe they would have liked the water and they would have liked the hotels better in Omsk, but maybe not the temperatures. Yes, we'll come back to that point. So Soleil, how would you wrap it up? What would be your summary?
My summary will be positive, I guess, because I don't think it's got a point to discuss how many money we spent to organize this competition, because we spent it already. It doesn't make sense to discuss it anymore. And I'm very glad that we got so many medals and so many gold medals, but my disappointment is gold medal for Sotnikova. I'm a fan of figure skating, and I watched it for many years. And after her skating, I thought that Yuna Kim will be Olympic champion. And this is I'm disagree with judging decision, but it's all history already. And I have a question for you. Did how to say it correct? Was opening ceremony clear for you? I have an impression that our opening ceremony was for inner audience.
We
yes.
would say for internal consumption.
Internal consumption. Yes. I don't
I
know.
Yeah, no, it's a very good question. In fact, what I think we ought to do is ask Professor Marston, because she doesn't speak Russian. So, Professor Marston, what was your impression of the Olympic ceremony? Was it clear and informative for you, or do you think it was aimed more at the Russians?
I think it was, I really think it was both. I have read that people interpret it as wanting to, Putin's wanting to increase national support for his program, and he wanted to be very strongly associated with this Olympics, which I believe he was. But for me, it was very impressive. It's like so many things in this decade, it was all about spectacle. And I think that's appropriate for the Olympic ceremonies. And so I thought it was impressive. I really did. That's my key word. And
Professor Lira, what was your?
First I do want to say that as we saw scenes, and I'm talking about images of Peter the Great or the troika, the horses at the conclusion, those kinds of things. The commentators, the network commentators on American television were well informed and would explain to the viewers exactly what it was they were seeing and how it was significant in Russian history and culture. Two things were kind of interesting to me. At the very beginning of the opening ceremony, the ceremony ran through the Cyrillic alphabet.
Yeah.
And there were kind of images along the way, and I recognized Kandinsky, and I recognized M. Malevich, and other and Tolstoy, or I think Ikatwe was Tolstoy. But I don't think everyone in the United States did. And then the other thing that was kind of baffling was that when the countries were introduced, they were introduced alphabetically, but not
by their Russian names.
By their Russian names.
So Canada, which for us is a C country, became a Ka
country. Exactly right. Exactly right. So, and we were watching with friends who do not know Russian and had no idea what was going on and couldn't figure out why everything was out of order. And for Russia, yeah, when you know, and the United States, which usually comes at the very end of those lists, was a little to the was sort of in the middle because it begins with S. Anyway, so part of the ceremony was international in scope, but I think the focus on the Cyrillic alphabet underlined the fact that basically this was a Russian production and using Russian themes and a Russian context for it.
Oh, and I thought that was appropriate.
It was wonderful. It was very creative. It surprised me. At first, I couldn't figure out what was going on, and then all of a sudden it clicked. I do want to ask the Russians one more question about the opening ceremony. We have heard here that when the opening ceremony was broadcast in Russia, and it became apparent that this fifth snowflake was not going to turn into a ring, that Russian television cut to another, to the dress rehearsal.
Yes, picture was changed, yes. We thought original, but
you
right.
saw the 5 rings.
You saw the 5 rings. What about that? That sounded very like a Potemkin village.
It was a video from
The rehearsal.
Yes. From rehearsal, and it was about 2 seconds. We thought the right unopened closed fifth ring, and then after 2 or 3 seconds we watched the right picture, politically right picture.
Politically correct, right?
Politically correct, yes.
Yeah.
Well, let's ask some of the others. Nastya, what is your summary of the Olympics? Your wrap up of the Olympics, Nastya?
The Olympics. I suppose that these games were successful. Frankly speaking, I didn't watch everything, but some competition, for example, biathlon, I saw it, and I heard how my father enjoyed
the biathlon.
Yes, and of course there were mistakes, and when we was at the height, and but all in all, I think that it was interesting. And it was.
Tell me about the biathlon. So that has 2 sports in it, right? What 2 things do you do in the biathlon?
How can I say it in English? They
shoot, right? They shoot,
and they run some kilometers.
Do they run or do they ski?
Skiing.
Ski, yeah. Yeah, this is a very interesting sport. I think it's very popular in Russia.
Oh, yes. I saw it with my granddad.
Yeah, see, very popular. Parents and grandparents are watching it. But in America, Professor Marston, are you a fan of the biathlon?
What? I'm interested in it because it's a Latin word.
Yeah,
that's it.
Very nice. Yeah, and for many of the winter sports, some of the winter sports, there aren't many fans in the United States. So biathlon, maybe, and in some of the others, hockey is very interesting. It is much more popular in Russia. It's popular in the United States, but much more popular in Russia. Lisa, how would you wrap up the Olympics?
Me?
Yeah, are you with us? There you are. Yeah. How would you summarize the Olympics? What were your impressions?
My impressions, Olympic Games look good, beautiful. I see some parts from closing and opening ceremonies. I watch competitions. I root for my for Russians, and I think it was very good introducing for other countries.
Ah, very nice. Yes, you said you rooted for the Russians. That's a great word. Who did you root for? What was one athlete you rooted for?
Biathlon. I root for biathlonists.
Oh, so yeah. See, I don't even know who's in the biathlon. Who was the Russian? Who was the Russian biathlonist?
I don't remember names because it's my big I mistakes for all my life. I can't remember the names of people of what I like.
Yes, your name challenge. And somebody just said a name. Was it?
Галикжанин, Малышка, Волков. И четвертый кто был?
Не помню, кто там четвертый.
Very nice.
Сейчас.
And I know people are checking the names of the Russian sportsmen. Was there an American? Chipolin. Was there an American in the biathlon?
Yeah, they were on the 7th place, if I'm correct.
Okay.
You have a good biathlonist.
See, I didn't even know. Who have we not called on? Ekaterina, Kate. What were your impressions of the Olympics? How would you summarize it?
I was really impressed by the Olympics. I didn't think that Russia can win the Olympics. It was surprised me a lot. I'm really glad about it, and I think the opening and the closing ceremony were very beautiful, and watching it, I thought a lot about my country.
Very nice, very nice. So I think you gave us all of these themes, very, very good themes. First of all, nothing bad happened, right? Everybody had some fear. Everybody was afraid. Maybe there would be an attack or a terrorist attempt. The medals, that was important, wasn't it? I've put up on the screen the medal count, and I'm looking at all your faces, and you're all smiling. What emotion do you feel when you see Russia at the top of that list? What was that?
We're all proud.
There's the word. There's the word I'm looking for. Nobody said it, I don't think, earlier. Yeah, a great pride, or you're proud. I was very surprised during the games when Norway was #1. Every day, Norway was #1. And then finally at the end, Russia came to the top. And you're not just at the top, you're way above, right? You know, Russia clearly outpaced all other countries. Do you remember, how many of you remember the Vancouver Olympics 4 years ago? Can somebody remind me, was Russia happy or sad with the medal count?
Sad.
Yeah, very sad, right? I think there was not much pride in the Vancouver Olympics as there was in these Olympics. Now, who told me about figure skating? Who was the figure skating?
I am a fan of.
Soleil, was that you?
Yes.
So who were you rooting for again? Who was the figure skater you were rooting for?
Rooting? What does it mean?
To be a supporter. Yeah, Palioshik, yeah.
I'm a fan of Volshapenko, and I'm very glad for Stolbov Klimo, who got silver medal. But I'm disappointed with the team competition because it's not correct, I guess, because it took place before individuals, and it's not so important for sportsmen to get a medal with a team. And I think if this competition will be in Olympic program, so I guess it has to be after individuals. or maybe other sportsmen could take a place in team competition. I think it's very hard to dance 4 routine in 2 weeks for Lipinskaya, for example.
Yeah.
She's too young, and I guess her mistakes in individual program is a result her participants in common competition, in team competition. I think
we saw a lot of her on TV. The American TV focused on Lipinskaya very much. Because we like a good story, right? A good narrative, and she's young, as you said, and she's inexperienced, but she's in the Olympics. You know, it practically will make you cry, right, to hear the story. And then I see Carly asked a question. Who can tell me a little bit about Mr. Brushenko?
Can I say?
All right, we'll let you say, Soleil. What are your thoughts?
I didn't believe that he could make a good routine, but I liked her. I like his routine in short program in team competition, and his routine was good enough to get a medal in group competition. But his avoiding of individual program and were discussed very actively in Russia, in YouTube, in Twitter, in many social как называется networks, yes, social networks, on the networks, yes. But I don't judge him because our figure skating system is very corruptional, and his behavior is just, it's normal in our system. It's not very clear, and there are many groups with their interests, and we have a young figure skaters who could go to Sochi and
didn't make it to the Olympics, we would say.
Yes, and Plushenko got their place, but I think we got one medal we could get, and that's the only result that we wanted from Plushenko. So I don't judge him.
Okay, and we heard a lot about him here in the United States. Because when he left the Olympics and then he retired, right? He says, "I am retiring from figure skating." It was there. Yeah, you know, very, very. What's a good word? Theatrical, maybe. Vlad, what were your thoughts on Mr. Plushenko?
I can't add something because I don't interested in this kind of sport.
Ah, okay. And Vladimir, were you going to say something?
Well, this situation with Plushenko is kind of very strange and contradictory. Well, he has a serious health problems, but he's not that young, and he's still skating and goes to the Olympics, and he didn't do very well at his solo program. Well, he didn't finish it because of the health problems, and then we had in Russia a very popular talk show with Говорят, whose topic, they talked with Plushenko and about this whole situation, and he said that yeah, I got a problem, but I still want to get better and, well, not fix my health, but something like that. And he wants to participate in his fifth Olympic Games, and it's very.
So maybe he didn't retire after all.
Yeah.
And what is the name of the talk show?
Пусть говорят, which can be translated like "let them talk."
Yeah. So maybe the retirement isn't so permanent, we might say. Daria, I see you on the screen. We'll let you have the last word. What was your favorite sport in the Olympics, Daria?
I'm not very interested in sports, but I like to watch skating. I think it's beautiful. But on this other games, I don't have so much time to watch it.
And do you have a favorite athlete, a favorite sportsman or sportswoman in the Olympics, Daria?
No, I don't
Russian?
have one. I can say that Volodymyr is amazing.
Yes. Very nice. Well, I thought I would share my favorite American sports figure from the Olympics. Hopefully you can see his picture on the screen. Is he visible there?
Yes.
Oh yes.
Oh,
There's,
bronze.
yeah, there's his name, Sage Katzenberg. Does anybody recognize him? What sport was he in? Most Americans wouldn't know either.
I don't know.
He is a snowboarder. And first, I should have to admit that I didn't even know snowboarding was an Olympic sport. Who knew? But Mr. Katzenberg looks like he should be surfing in California. And he was very famous at the Russian Olympics in Sochi. Did anybody see or hear about him in the news?
Did he adopt puppies? No.
Did he which?
Did he adopt the 4 puppies from Sochi?
I hadn't heard that story. Maybe.
Yeah.
Did he? Did he?
It was about all of those dogs that were being exterminated.
Yeah.
And so this was a showboating thing. I was going to say that goes along with snowboarding, but now you know my prejudice.
Showboating. And he doesn't look like an Olympic athlete, right? He looks, as I said, like he should be surfing. And when he talks, technically he's speaking English, but even most Americans can't quite understand what he's saying. So I brought a little video clip of Mr. Katzenberg at his press conference. So if everybody could please mute your microphones, we'll play this video clip to give you a sense of how Sage Katzenberg speaks English. All right, we'll watch it. It's only 45 seconds long. Professor Lero, how would you rate his English? He's a native speaker of English, I think.
I think it's fine. I understood everything.
Okay, Andre, tell us a little bit about it. What were some of the phrases you heard?
Well, I don't really remember what he was talking about, but he was very excited about the medal he got. Yes.
But
Yeah.
Andre, so Andre, did he say, "I'm very proud and very excited with the medals I got"? Did he use those words?
No, I don't think he used them. But I can't really remember what he said, honestly.
He said, Professor. He said, "I'm stoked."
I'm stoked. This was a news story because Mr. Katzenberg had an interpreter, a Russian interpreter, who did not know how to translate. I'm really stoked, man, to be here. Let's think about that, Andre. What you already translated it for us. You said I'm very excited. But when he says, "Hey, man, like I'm stoked to be here," how would you put that into Russian and get that slang, get that idiom, Andre? This is a part of the class where you get to think in Russian. What would be a good Russian equivalent for "I'm stoked to be here, man"? What do you think, Andre?
Well, let's say it in Russian.
Yeah, type it in the chat and say it in Russian. What would be your translation? If you were the interpreter, what would you have said?
I would not like to be an interpreter. I don't like to translate. But let me think.
Everybody's thinking. Let's talk a little bit about the English, right? Stoked means, Carly, you had a good translation of this last week. How did you explain it in English?
I just had to go answer the door. You mean of the craziest thing ever?
I was just stoked. I'm really stoked to be here.
Oh, I'm stoked. I'm stoked to be here. It's a feeling that something feels so amazing, so surreal, that you can hardly believe it.
Yeah, it's almost like a spike in your feelings. I'm really stoked. Very, very excited. Why don't we let anybody help us? What would be some good Russian phrases? I'm really stoked to be here. Can help us with some Russian. And as Andre said, you're probably happy you weren't the interpreter. Yeah. That's one way to do it. What are some other ways in Russian?
You know, it's possible that there is no other way in Russian. That this particular jargon that he's using is the jargon of surfers and kind of California beach talk, and it's it's a dialect, if you will, idiolect that is confined to this little group, and outside of the group, its meaning is largely opaque to the rest of us. That's why we're groping with a way to explain it, because we don't use this kind of language all the time. What is that?
Saleh, can you explain that to us?
To be.
Is the root there, lyot? I'm sort of flying high.
But it's not very common to be in ulyote, to be в ulyote. It's to feel very exciting about something, to be on the
seventh heaven,
on the cloud
right?
number 9.
Yeah, cloud 9 or seventh heaven.
Seventh
right?
heaven, yes.
There's some good phraseology. I like those. Yeah, to be flying high. Any other ideas? Well, another phrase he used was, it might be a little easier for us to get to. He said, it's like the craziest thing ever. How are we going to do that in Russian? Vladislav, you're on camera. Do you want to try it? What would be a good Russian phrase for that?
Good Russian phrase. I don't use a lot of slang, and it's difficult for me. Expect it in Russian. Crazy. Crazy things. Crazy things.
Carly, you have a good example, good idea.
Crazy.
Yeah, I don't know. Самая крутая крут.
Крутая хорошо, круть нет. Самая крутая вещь, крутая.
Вещь, yeah.
Чумовая, maybe чумовая. Офигенная, да, кстати.
Офигенная вещь, yeah. Now, I've noticed what word you're not using, right? You're not using any Russian word that talks about somebody being crazy, right? Сумасшедший. Right? Right? It's that. Maybe you could use that word in this phrase, but you know, when he says it's the craziest thing ever, man, does he mean that he's a little crazy? No, maybe, but that's not your first thought. Yeah. Крутая вещь.
Somebody typed башню сносит. Вот это про это, кстати. Вот башню сносит, it's about crazy things.
I have one little comment when we get to the end of this. I'd like to come up.
And Carly has made a very good point that crazy can be both positive and negative. In this particular context, the word means, hey, it's crazy, man. It was just crazy out there. You know, you're sort of a little stoked because it was so crazy. Now I'm getting into it.
And I would say it's not always descriptive of a person's mental sort of condition. Like Professor Lira wrote in the chat, if you say, I'm crazy about her, or I'm crazy about him, or I'm crazy about golfing or something, then that means you really, really enjoy it, or you really, really like it. If I say I'm crazy about him, it means I'm practically in love with him. I like him so much.
We're crazy about Justin Bieber.
We're crazy.
Yeah.
He's a crazy man.
You can also say he drives me crazy.
Yes, very nice.
That can be positive or negative. I said when people speak like this, it drives me crazy. When they speak like a surfer from California, it drives me crazy. That's negative.
Or you can say, she's so beautiful, it drives me crazy.
Yeah.
And that's very positive.
Yeah, it really depends on the context.
Okay, I don't mean to put myself forward as a California surfer. But when I first heard about this cliff, I was worried because my generation often is unable to understand the millennials because of the way they talk. However, I am from the West Coast originally, and that's where I grew up. And to me, he's perfectly, he makes sense. I get it. I grew up with those surfers. And so I just wanted to say that it has understanding language is so much about context. And so you need to know that it's not, we have a country, and I know you have a country that is extremely multicultural. And I bet you have expressions in Omsk, in your university community, that would not be understood outside that context. So I just wanted to put a little word of warning. I relate to this entirely. And that doesn't always happen to me, so I'm kind of pleased. Even though he's not somebody I'd hang out with, you understand, and he certainly wouldn't want to hang out with me.
It's the craziest thing ever, man.
It is the craziest thing ever, man.
Well, here's the quote, if you would like to copy it down, at his press conference that caused the interpreter such difficulty. And I was very impressed, Andre. Maybe you don't want to be an interpreter, but you did very well. You understood, just like Professor Marston and Professor Lero said. Even if you couldn't quite get the words, you get sort of the spirit of it. I heard it's going to be crazy out there. I'm definitely stoked to be part of it. Obviously, I'm stoked to get gold and whatever comes with it. And I don't know what the Russian translator actually said, but it's one of those phrases that are difficult for us as well.
Good job, dude.
There's my other favorite. You know, one of the phrases that he uses a lot is something like dude or man. I kept saying that, right? Man, it was cool out there. Man, it was the craziest thing ever. Bro, right? Saleh said bro. What, help us with some good Russian equivalents for that. What would be a good Russian equivalent for that word? There's one that's used quite a bit. Yeah, chuvak. Saleh, can you use that in a similar sentence? Right? I'm really stoked, man. Could you use chuvak in that way?
Yes. Chuvak, it's like bro. Yes, I can ask you. Excuse me, it's just an example. Ты, чувак, как дела? Давно тебя не видел.
How about muzhik?
Muzhik, it's about...
Right? Starik.
It's not so common. I think muzhik, it's about estimate. It's about male characteristics that somebody chose. When somebody acts like brave, like strong, we said, muzhik. It's not just a word, it's an estimate.
Very nice. And chuvak, I think, is probably more common. Yeah, very nice.
Хотя чувак это аббревиатура, господи, как аббревиатура по-английски?
Abbreviation.
Abbreviation, yes.
Yeah.
It's people. It's a man that is very fond of American culture. It's человек, уважающий высокую американскую культуру.
Oh.
The man who likes an American culture.
Mm-hmm. It's the first letter from each word. Chuvak. But it's not. No. It's originally that word means. Yes, I know it's.
I heard it first time.
I know it's exactly, but it lost its means, and it's just word. No, it's just.
And Professor Marston has raised a very interesting point. So Professor Lero and I can talk with each other, and he might say, you know, what's up? You know, how you doing, man? How you doing, dude? Can Professor Marston talk like that? Would Professor Marston, as a retired Professor Emerita, talk like that? What do you think, Andre?
That would be very funny.
Say that again?
that would be very funny in my opinion.
Yeah, so what we're talking about here is one of several things, but the technical phrase is probably register, right? Are you speaking with a very high formal language, right? Or are you speaking with a slang or street language or common shared language that's not so high style? So Professor Marston, I want to hear you say, "What's up?" Okay. In English, that sounds very odd to us, coming from a person of her stature.
Actually, I have done that as a way of beginning a speech to a group of language professionals. I was asked to talk, and I had a very fine introduction, and they went on and on about, my career and all of that. And I came up to the microphone and said, "Sup?" And everyone laughed because it was so inappropriate and disassociated from the introduction that they just had. And then I tried to explain that to me, the way you use words says a lot about the context that you're in. And I deliberately made something that wouldn't work. And so I had to reassure them fairly quickly after everybody laughed that that's not the way I talked all the time. And in fact, I don't use that expression with anyone else. I did ask my grandson what the reply was. He's 22, and he assured me at the time I did this that the answer was the same word.
So when somebody says, "What's up?" you say, "What's up?"
Yeah, what up?
Very different interpretations of that.
Sure.
Because I actually, my generation says that a lot too, informally between friends or someone that's approximately on the same level, between friends. You can say "What's up?" or just "Sup." That's even more informal. I say "What's up?" a lot to my friends, but usually the response is not much. Not much. What about you? So it's almost like saying, "What have you been doing?" And that's I also wrote some other strange, they can seem strange anyway, phrases that not everyone would understand would be "what it do." That was really popular. That was really popular a few years ago, and that means the same thing. It means "What's up? How's it going?"
I think a comment like this at the beginning does something to connect you with the person that you're talking to, saying, "You're in my circle. You're in my group." And it's like I see the word up here, dog. "Sup, dog? What it do?" And and so it reminded me of dogs. When dogs get together, they sniff. And this is kind of a sniffing culture for people. Okay, that was a conversation stopper.
Before we run out of time, I wanted to ask one more point, and I forgot who raised it. Maybe Vladimir. Sochi and the weather. We're going to come back full circle to the weather. Why were the Winter Olympics in the tropics? Vladimir, did you mention that as one of your thoughts about the Olympics?
Vladislav mentioned it, but I can answer.
Okay, why don't you go ahead and answer?
Because in Sochi is a very developed tourist city, and it was easier to make Olympic Games there because they have a lot of tourist infrastructure, and Omsk doesn't have that much. And if for some reason a lot of tourists would come to Omsk, it just would, I don't know, like we would not be able to handle that.
And I think you used a very good word, infrastructure, right? The idea that hotels and roads and buses and all of that stuff that you would need to greet people just don't exist. When you think of Sochi, Vladimir, what else do you think of? Not snow, but what other type of weather?
Well, I don't know. When I think of Sochi, I think about the sea, like the tourist. Sochi for me is like a place where to spend holiday.
In the summer, right?
Like
You know,
yeah,
in August, not in February. Very nice. And then the other piece that we heard a lot about was the cost, how much money it cost. Who can help me understand that? Lisa, are you there?
Yes, I'm. Yeah.
What did you think about the money for the Olympics? Did Russia spend too much or just the right amount?
I don't know exactly what money. I don't know the number of money, but there are many talking about this in our country. Many people think that presidents pay too much, but I think it's no, it's not my problem for today, and I don't talk with my friends about money that countries pay for Olympic Games. I don't know what to say.
Yeah, and a good phrase would be to use, you know, perhaps it's not at the center of your attention. You're not really thinking about it, right?
Yes.
And we heard numbers all over the place, right? 20 billion, 30 billion, 50 billion. But most Americans don't know what the Olympics cost. I have no idea what the Olympics in Beijing cost or what the Olympics in Vancouver cost. So there was a lot of talk about that in the West. But I think overall, your emotions, if I had to sum up all of your comments, they were very positive, right? You were very proud of the Olympics. It had some spectacle and some very well-performing Russian sports athletes. And I think the Americans were pretty pleased with the Olympics too. Professor Lero, did you feel at the end of the Olympics like America had a good Olympics?
Yes, yeah, I'm very proud of the way we performed, and some of the events were controversial, but I think that's to be expected when you have human judges and that kind of thing. I was very proud of us. I was very proud of the United States, and I was impressed with the organization and the facilities. I was surprised that President Putin seemed to have attended every single event.
He was
always there. He was always there. He was always there, and he had a good time. And I think that it was probably good for his image. He is not very popular in the United States. He's not a very but in the main, I'm proud to be an American.
Very nice. Well, I think that's a perfect way to end our hour today. you will get a homework assignment from us, but it will be on this Olympic theme, and you'll be doing two things primarily. You're going to write a blog post about the Olympics, and we'll send you the instructions. And we're also going to give you a video clip to watch and prepare that was played on TV here during the Olympics, and we'll discuss that next week as well. So looking back over our chat and over our whiteboards today, there is a lot of vocabulary, really useful, good phrases and vocabulary. We have covered a lot of ground. So when you leave today, be sure and save all your files so you can go back. Hundreds of good vocabulary words and phrases you'll definitely want to practice and make use of them.
I do want to say I'm pretty stoked about this class.
I'm stoked to be here. And, we hope you all are too. And so
I'm stoked to be here too.
We're all
It's
stoked.
the craziest thing ever.
It is the craziest thing ever. Well, thank you all, and we wish everybody a good week.
Thank you.
And we will see you next Tuesday.
Let's see, Saleh, I think that the word that you were looking for earlier is an acronym. Acronym, and that's a word that is formed by the initial letters of other words, like человек уважающий, высокую американскую культуру. Is that really the source of Chuvak?
Yes, yes.
It is.
Somebody wrote that it came from 60s, yes, and he's right. Vladimir, yeah?
And it's very old, huh?
Mm-hmm.
From the 60s, you said? Okay, good. That's useful to know.
Well, thank you all. Have a good week, and we will see you next Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.